Hello to everyone. My name is NC Lightworker and welcome to the Black Off Grid YouTube channel. I'm going to be sharing my journey towards a self-reliant lifestyle by building an off-grid homestead. Now mind you, I am not an expert by any means. Therefore, I do not respond to any questions, comments, or emails because as a lightworker, I am only here to present the information. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to post your location in the intro video to this channel because you may be able to link up with like-minded people in your area. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started. This video was recorded in August 2017, so right now I'm still in the process of saving up money to purchase land. Since building a homestead is a very gradual process, I want to share with you some cost-effective things that you can do in the meantime. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Well, for me, that will be every thrift store within a 20-mile radius. Thrift stores are a frugal woman's best friend. There are certain things that I always keep an eye out for when shopping. My goal is eventually to have a book about everything. Therefore, books are at the very top of the list. I have probably over 20 books and references about gardening in my personal library. For example, I have a couple of books about container gardening. This is something that you can actually do now while you're saving up for your land. So if you live in an apartment, you can try your hand at growing something simple in a container like tomatoes. I have a book about plant companionship. So yes, there are certain fruits and vegetables that simply don't like each other, and they will not grow if they are planted near each other. So you will have to know who gets along with who. I have plant encyclopedias and books about different gardening methods like vertical gardening. So if you have a small piece of land, instead of growing out, you grow up. I even have a book on how to grow food in a desert. I kid you not. 99.999% of the books that I have about gardening came from thrift stores. How-to books. Since you're going to be growing your own food, you can start experimenting with different cuisines. I have several cookbooks and they were all thrift store finds. Other how-to books that will be easy to find are books about building, be it a shed or a deck, masonry work, electrical wiring, etc. Self-reliance is the act of taking responsibility as it relates to food, water, shelter, self-defense, defense of your property, medical, and hygiene. As a homesteader, having different skill sets is very important because it is directly tied into self-reliance. Any book that you come across that covers these issues will be a great asset. I want to reduce my dependency on commercial products as much as possible, so I will not be using paper towel on the homestead. Right now I have 2 large storage containers filled with towels and washcloths that I got from thrift store bargain bins. Cast iron cookware. This is a biggie because cast iron is not cheap. If you're fortunate enough to find some while thrifting, you definitely want to get it, granted that it has a brand name and it passes the fingernail test. Now, the fingernail test is something that I just made up. The majority of the cast iron on the market has a gritty feel to it on the inside, which is due to the process that is used during production. What I do is that I gently scratch the inside of the pan. If you see black or grayish specks, then more than likely it's cheap cast iron that was made in China, and I wouldn't waste my money on it. However, if the inside of the cookware is nice and smooth, you definitely want to get it because they don't make them like that anymore. More than likely, you just found a piece of vintage cast iron. It doesn't matter if it's rusty, you still want to get it because eventually you're going to come across a book or reference that's going to give you step-by-step instructions on how to restore cast iron back to its former glory. Other things to look out for include bakeware, knives, and eating utensils that are in good condition. Now, you can definitely have electrical appliances while living off the grid. However, I'm going to be kicking it old school, so every manual kitchen gadget that you can think of, I probably already have it. About a year ago, I saw this in a thrift store. I had no clue what it was at the time, and all I knew is that it was old and had never been used before because it had a thin layer of dust on it. Since it was only $2.99, hey, I snatched it up. I later found out that it's an old school percolator coffee pot, which will definitely come in handy on a homestead if I ever decide to start drinking coffee. Food storage. Now, it is to my understanding that mice are pretty much a given on a rural homestead. One way to protect your dry goods like your rice, beans, flour, and sugar is to store them inside large popcorn tins. You can also store your food inside mason jars. While thrifting, I am always on the lookout for the large mason jars because eventually you can use them for dry canning. Your dry goods can have the shelf life of 10 to 20 years by using the dry canning method. As an aspiring homesteader, this is something that you definitely want to do further research on. The beautiful thing about consciousness is that it will never force itself on you. You always have the option of going back to sleep at any time. The choice is yours. If the information in this post was able to wake up a handful of people, then my mission was accomplished. It is now your responsibility to stay awake, prepare, and continue connecting those dots. Please feel free to share this post. God bless and take care.